Morning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here, did you start recording? Okay. Ready.
Ready to go?
Yep.
Welcome to the Westtown East Goshen Police Commission meeting of September 19th, 2025. My name is Dick Pomerantz. I'm the chair.
Tom Stone, Commissioner's Lodge.
Mila Carter, Westtown Township Manager.
Kelly Tatum, Administration.
Happy Girl Business Manager.
David Leggy, interim chief.
And remotely,
Derek Davis, Township Manager, East Goshen.
and is Cody online as well?
He was trying to get in. He said he was having some issues. He texted me, so
It
doesn't look
is-
like he's there now.
Okay.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh.
Oh, no, it's
this
gone.
drop-
Tell me when.
Yeah, he got dropped out.
Yeah, it looks like he tried and then left.
You still having problems, Derek?
I'm texting him.
It's like authentication fails when he tries to get in.
I wonder if it's something on his.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, well then why don't we just begin?
How about if I call him and just have him on the phone again?
Let's do that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Again.
Okay. I'll just call him on speaker. Hey, you're on speaker now. It seems like everyone else got in, but when we go to verify you, it doesn't work. So is it okay if we just keep you on the phone while, okay.
So Cody, just tell people who you are so that we formally have you named. So with that, the meeting's called to order, and before we go anywhere, we'll do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we sit down, today, probably more than any other day than certainly in the last year, I'd like to do not just a moment of silence, but also a prayer for those in York County who were lost, and as well as the two who are recovering. Thank you. Begin with an executive session was held prior to discuss a personnel issue. And so we'll move on to approval of minutes from August 15, 2025. First of all, do I hear a motion to approve? So moved. I hear a second. Thanks, Cody. Before we move on with the actual vote, Kathy was kind enough on September 12th to say that she can provide some information, details regarding certain issues that were raised, questions that were raised in that meeting, and it's in the minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read what's been written and then ask Kathy if she'll provide details. Mr. Bright begins by asking about the accreditation fees. If the accreditation consultant who was brought on this year only cost $12,000, why is the proposed amount for accreditation $27,000?
So because I wasn't at that meeting, I'd like to answer them today. The additional fees are for, the Power GMS. This consists of our scheduling program and as well as our accreditation policies.
Mr. Bright then asked a second question about the portable radios. How much of the 154,000 in the sinking fund is for the radios?
All, all of that, 154 is earmarked for radios. However, our latest news is that we're not going to be required to pay for portable radios. So, we can move that money to another line item if you'd like. I also, for the budget, the version 3, I've moved the amount under the sinking funds for radios to 0.
Mr. Bright then asked about the proposed increase in budget for security cameras. He asked, when will we need new security cameras?
Based on experience, we need to repair and replace security cameras that's ongoing. So if and when we have to replace the entire system, these funds will be available. I did not increase that line item. I'm not sure where that came from, but that has not been increased.
I then asked a follow-up, which is, why is there a $37,000 increase in the building maintenance from 2023 to 2024?
The building expense line item increased in 2024 when the commission approved replacing the audio visual in this room. I think it was 25 or 35 grand. So that's the reason why it was increased in 23 to 24.
Appreciate the details. Any questions, Tom?
No, I'm satisfied.
Cody, any questions? Okay, so let's take a vote on it. All in favor? Thanks, guys. Chairman's report. I have two different thoughts. One is very brief. I'll leave the details out for the time being, and that is, but it's very much on behalf of my wife, Bobby, and myself. A thank you to both Interim Chief Leahy for his responsiveness, and then also very much so to Officer Chris Dittis for coming out on an issue that was of genuine concern, still is, that occurred in front of our house. Dave and Chris are familiar with it. And the irony is that when I brought it up at our board meeting, the reaction privately afterwards, even from my two colleagues on the board, was, well, that's weird. Not your response, just the whole circumstances. I'll be very candid with you. We're still a bit uncomfortable. Okay. On a different issue, and I hope you all don't mind. I put some thoughts down, and I think it'll speak for itself. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to do so. For far too many people, what happened on September 10th in Utah and what happened in York County 2 days ago is so deeply remindful to those like me at my age of what happened on June the 5th. And that was June 5th, 1968. Charlie Kirk, 5 law enforcement officers, including 3 of the more than 30 around the country who have been fatally killed just this year, and then Senator Robert F. Kennedy. Each a victim for different reasons, but each circumstance an example of so many other examples of what has become an ever-exploding number of other circumstances of the mindless menace of violence in the U.S. One thing is clear. No one, no matter where he or she lives or what he or she does or their age, can be certain who will suffer from some senseless act of bloodshed, and still it goes on. Why? What has violence ever accomplished? What has it created? In my view, no wrongs have ever been righted by the actions of an assassin or a sniper's bullet, or for that matter, the arson attempt of the governor and the governor's mansion and the threat to his family and his friends. Senator Kennedy's words on the day after the assassination of Martin Luther King, he's famous for the ones that he gave when Martin Luther King was killed in April of '68. But there's a speech that's not very well known, but it's getting more and more well known because of the events that have occurred, particularly the fatal events that have happened over the last year or so. Anyways, this was in Cleveland, and it was during the middle of the election campaign in '68. And Senator Kennedy's words are as relevant and prescient today as they were in April of 1968. So I'm going to quote some of them. Whenever any American's life is taken by another American unnecessarily, whether it is done in the name of the law or in the defiance of the law, by one person or a gang, in cold blood or in passion, in an attack of violence or in response to violence, whenever we tear at the fabric of life, the whole nation is degraded. Yet we seemingly continue to tolerate a rising level of violence that ignores our common humanity and our claims to civilization alike. We calmly accept media reports of civilian slaughter. We glorify killing on movies, television, and on the internet, and we call it entertainment. We make it easy for all shades of sanity to acquire weapons and ammunition they desire. I don't purport to have, nor is this even the right venue, to begin to think about offering solutions to what's happening or how to stop this out of control violent behavior. But this, I personally do believe. When you preach or teach that those who differ from you threaten your freedom or your job or your dreams or your ambitions or your family, then you also learn to confront others not as fellow citizens, but as enemies, to be met not with cooperation, but with conquest, to be belittled, subjugated, and defeated. To state the obvious, as one individual living in this country, what's been happening is not working. There's got to be some better way. Some may eventually do it on a big scale, but for now, I'll do it in my own way, as I've done so in every conversation I've had with law enforcement officials since I've been on the WeGo Regional Police Commission and even before. And that is that to say to the law enforcement personnel of this department, other departments, thank you and your family for your service, and always continue to be safe.
Thank you.
Cody, Vice Chair report.
Such great people represent and protect us. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cody.
Tom?
I certainly agree with my friend Cody on what he just said, and as I always say, it's our position on the police commission to make sure that everyone comes home safe at the end of that tour.
Dave, your report concerns as interim chief?
Yes. I'll start with a couple compliments that we received. The first one was a very nice letter we received from a resident of Hershey's Mill who commended the officers who missing person incident and development. She was very impressed with our response, but specifically she was impressed with the use of our drone during the search for the subject. I'll touch on that in a couple more minutes, a little bit further. Also received a very nice note from Mila, but in addition to a member of the Westtown Environmental Advisory Council, we thank Sergeant O'Brien and Corporal Large for their assistance in the litter cleanup on 9/26 that occurred last Sunday. It was a very good, successful event from what we gathered. I'd like to reiterate Dick's thoughts there and Cody's and Tom's on the York County incident and the other incidents that's happened in our country recently. As we've seen in recent weeks, we live in a very dangerous country and world, and the tragedies such as this can take place anywhere, just as Dick said. I'm going to point out, we train, our department trains, our officers train for situations like this. Just this month, we're finishing up our firearms qualifications. But it's not just qualifications. We have classroom portions that we study film. We're on the range shooting, and then we do scenario-based training towards the end of the day. So although we can't prepare for everything, we try our best to. So I want our residents to be assured that, we do train and prepare ourselves for a situation. I'd like to commend our range instructors for their hard and dedicated work during that program. In regards to the missing person that I talked about just a couple seconds ago, again, that was a resident, elderly resident of Hershey's Mill Development who suffered from dementia. He was probably, it was a few hours that he was out along in the development on a hot, August day. Our officers responded with assisting jurisdictions. The use of our drone, from what was told to me by the supervisor that was on site there, was instrumental in finding him. The way the drone worked in this case was it was able to eliminate areas from an overview of where the subject was not. So the officers could then focus in other areas, which is where they went based on the drone not seeing him above. Sergeant James Ranger was able to locate the subject in a tree, brushy area. He was just sitting there. Other than having some heat exhaustion, he was fine, but he was treated. But again, just thank the police commission for the approval last year of that drone. It again has been shown to be a very instrumental tool. In August, we had two simple assaults. Both of them occurred in Westtown. They both were a result of road rage incidents that occurred somewhere along Westchester Pike. We don't know where it initially started, but they ended up in our township in Westtown. In both cases, again, they were road rage incidents, and there was some sort of, at one level or another, an assault that occurred. Just want to remind our residents, if you are engaged or somebody engages you in a road rage style behavior, do not engage back with them. Try and get a identifiable make and model of the car, the registration, identify them. If you can get a description of the driver, call 911. If need be, try and get to a public place and pull over if you feel the need to. Our officers will respond and try and locate the subject, but do not, urge residents not to engage with somebody that acts in that manner. Even though we're about halfway through the month of September, I just want to remind everybody that September is National Suicide Prevention Month. If you or someone you know is in crisis, you can call the 988 Suicide Crisis Line and connect with a trained counselor. I brought this up earlier in the year, but Chester County does have a mobile crisis team that will respond to assist people in crisis. That's all for my report.
Question? I have a question for you. And ever since they started doing some work at 926 and 202, and everybody's the traffic is unbelievable. Do you have any sense? My question may be irrelevant. It's undoable. Is there any way to reduce the traffic or to speed up the traffic, or is that the way it's going to be for a number of months?
So the short answer right now, I would say no. But I believe I would say, and I'd have to talk with Ted Lewis and the traffic engineers. But once those lights are and the work is done, the timing of those lights, I'm sure will be synced like they were before, prior to the construction there. So hopefully that will improve in the future. If it doesn't, we will have to look into something. But in the short term, no, I don't see it.
Are you getting complaints?
Not complaints, not complaints, but people notice it for sure.
Kathy, Kelly, are you getting any complaints at all from people?
I haven't heard anybody call and say anything about it, so not on our end anyway, so.
It's only been this week, right?
No, they started a couple weeks ago.
The lights were in the last.
The light.
Yeah, last week, so.
Yeah. Maybe next week, if it continues, you'll start getting complaints.
You get any complaints, ma'am?
Not yet, but the project now is delayed. So if the original plan was to get the project done by the end of this year, now we hear it's gonna be summer of next year. So, and the initial construction they will do is the retaining wall and Darlington Inn corner.
Right.
So that would be the first kind of initial work there. So yes, it's gonna be until at least next summer, unless they would be ahead of schedule.
Did they say why they've been delayed?
So there was a PICO lines, like if you've noticed, the PICO had to move their lines, so that's been delayed on that. And then there was a delay with Verizon because Verizon owned some lines that were on a Pico lines. So so it was between utility companies why it's taken so long to start the project. So it sounds to me that now they are pretty much ready to go, but it's gonna take some time because you can only do concrete work a specific season. You can't do concrete work during winter. So now you have to wait till spring to do all of that. So
They were manually working out there last night at 10 o'clock. They had crews out there working. And yesterday, the construction crew was manually operating the lights. And it was a cluster. It was a real cluster yesterday, but that's not our jurisdiction, is it? Or is any part of that intersection ours?
Yeah, part of the
Yes.
intersection is, yes, so the 926 heading westbound lane. So the north side of the intersection would be ours, would be westbound.
The Amish Market side.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe they could be required to hire some police to.
do that, I can follow up with our traffic engineer. I know he's been in contact with PennDOT about the lights and traffic lights timing and to get more in terms of the schedule and what it would look like. So
But I think Kathy's asking a good question, and that is that maybe people's patience will be, for the next little while, be okay, but will the patience dissipate? And then we'll start having people with road rage. I mean, even today, when I was coming up from 926 and on 202, there were people going on this, literally on the far right-hand side illegally. I mean, they shouldn't have been doing it. And then people are tooting their horn. And then there are people who actually had a right to make a right-hand turn. And all of a sudden there are people pulling up like that.
I had some guy yesterday heading towards the Amish market who couldn't wait any longer and went over the medial strip and went back northbound. Just drove right over.
I think it's gonna be a situation that we've seen that we don't have a whole lot of control.
Right.
We just
but
have
they've
to.
seen state police a lot there too. On the other side.
The traffic volume has increased. The construction is, we're just gonna have to. We don't have a lot of control. We can if and but all day long, but. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
So with that, we'll move on to statistics.
But for August, department handled 1,955 total incidents. Year to date, as of August 30th, department handled 16,121 incidents. In August, there were 873 incidents in Westtown and 1,060 incidents in East Goshen. And the entire breakdown of all the calls can be viewed on the police commission packet for this month and also on our Crime Watch page and in our blotter, which are up to date as of just a week or so ago.
Questions? Let's move on to the Township Roundtable. Derek, you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have too much today. This is for Dave. The soliciting complaints have interestingly gone up. Usually it starts back in the spring and kind of goes to the summer, but we've been getting a lot late summer, and a lot of them don't have any sort of soliciting permit through our township, which I've said it before. I don't even agree with the program because it's tough to manage. And then most people don't have permits anyway, and then it becomes a police issue. But I don't have anything specific on that, Dave, just the fact that you might hear complaints and calls because it seems to be upticking, which is a weird time of year for that to happen. But I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Okay.
And then also school with school back in session, East Goshen Elementary, obviously that traffic nightmare. There's been some uptick in complaints because of the new school year. We are continuing to try to work with the school district to come up with a solution. We made a little bit more progress lately, and it has to do with possibly widening the driveway there to get another lane in there. So there could be 2 lanes pulling in instead of 1, because PennDOT does not want us to touch Paley Pike is the bottom line. So we're trying to do the best we can with the little room we have. Only the other thing is, and this is just for everybody, we are co-sponsoring tomorrow a e-recycle event and co-shredding event in our park right with the chamber, the Chester County Business Chamber. So they're actually kind of taking the lead in this, but we are co-sponsoring with them. It'll be over there at the Chester County Business Chamber building across from East Goshen Park. And it's free event for, again, shredding and e-recycling. So I just wanted to mention that because I know a lot of people getting rid of old TVs and things like that. It's difficult. So
Derek, I'm sorry, I missed it. Do you have the time on that? Because I know it gets a pretty big group of people.
Yeah. Actually, probably I should have told you earlier. I didn't think about that aspect of it. It's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Thanks.
Yep. And that is all I have.
So I'm surprised that we haven't gotten any solicitation complaints, because compared to last year, we've been getting a lot. So there was just one call came in that there was somebody walking around on Jacqueline, but the caller didn't know the company name, so we just couldn't figure out who that was. I got a call concerning Craigbilly Preserve, and whether or not the township permits hunting. And also the concern is that there is a hunting community out there that might be aware that you can hunt on Craigbilly, because that's what they've done before. So Mark and I are working on posting no hunting signs along the fence and on the trees. So if you have, Mark was trying to investigate which signs make more sense, because it is a public property as well. We do not have specific provisions to no hunting in our code. And then we've gotten a couple of calls from the residents that we're asking if they can use bow and arrow on their private property to hunt deer. So it's becoming more of a concern. There is a lot of deer herd around, and people trying to take the matters into their own hands. So something to be aware of. And we are seeing more and more traffic on Craigbilly Preserve. So local residents walk the dogs, running along on the perimeter. We have to work on figuring out how to delineate the boundary, especially on the interior of the site, because I will not be surprised that you would be getting calls from adjacent property owners about trespassing. It is very challenging to see when you are on site where preserve ends and where the private property starts. So that's something that we would have to kind of work on. We are still waiting to see if the township will get grants to do a Craigbilly Preserve Master Park Plan next year. Recommendation is to budget for such plan, even if we do not get the funds, because we really cannot delay getting that project complete. But going through the planning process, that's when I hope we'll come out with a plan in terms of where the parking lot will go, what it would look like on an interior, how to separate private property and public property. So we'll work on that. The South Concord Road Aqua project, it seems like it's been delayed. They're still working on it. So we've been getting complaints about that. There's nothing we can do. We were hoping first they were supposed to be done at the end of August. Now it was the end of September, so we'll see. We are holding event at South New Street and General Howe at Huey Ruin site this Saturday. It would be a market dedication event for that historic property. The event is at 12 o'clock. I don't expect much of an attendance, but there would be some attendance. We notified adjacent property owners that people might be parking along General Howe. So just something to be aware, yeah.
Our day shift tomorrow.
So I think the event might be just half an hour, but Westchester University will be bringing a display of artifacts that they found during the archaeological dig. So it might be longer than 30 minutes. So it all depends. We're getting ready for Westtown Day. All the plans are underway. Orkborn fence, if you've seen, is undergoing repair. So all the fence posts that are in the ground are being replaced. That work should be completed by next week. And I think that's it. Yeah, we've had a very successful Route 926 cleanup. I was glad to see several volunteers. They were not able to complete the section all the way from West Town Road to Amish Market. They stopped at South Concord Road, so it probably took them 2 hours. So it was a lesson learned there that you either need more people and separate into 2 sections or just take a smaller section. But it was a successful event and they really appreciated the assistance because it made them feel safe working on the roadway.
The next meeting of America 250, at least in West Town, I think it's Saturday the 27th.
Yes, it's the next Saturday that's coming up. Yeah. Yep.
Where are we? At least where are we in this?
So we are now finalizing the shorter list of all the activities that are being planned for next year. And we will be posting the list of activities on a website, adding it to the community calendar. There's a lot of collaboration that will happen with Thornbury Township, Chester County, and with Cheney University. So they would like to get involved as well. We haven't had much participation from the school district. So I'm not sure if we would do any sort of kind of partnering event together on that. But I hope to have a shorter list because we've had over 3 pages of ideas and you have to have volunteers for every single activity. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
Questions? Move on to the review of approved bills from August 5th and August 19th. We don't need to vote on it. Just any comments about it? Cody, any questions, comments about the approved bills? Move on to old business, the proposed budget, version number 3.
That will not be on the screen. You're just so now. So version 3 dated 9/17, the commission received a copy. Until it's sent to the townships, it's not posted. The only change from version 2 to 3 is I received a few more insurance quotes. Work comp, they confirmed the quote will be $269,400. And the public officials and employees liability, officers liability is $88,132. That includes our cyber policy, which is very important to have in this day and age, as you know. Our vehicle insurance increased considerably, but yet hasn't been completely confirmed yet because I had a few questions on it. It was increased about 20 grand, probably most likely due to the fatal bike accident that was settled back in, I believe, 24. And the portable radio sinking fund, as I mentioned before, we generally put 14,000 into that fund each year. I reduced back to 0 since we did hear from the county that we will not be responsible for paying for portable radios. So the budget increased 0.18% over 2025. Most of that is due to the fact that the MMO, minimum municipal obligation for the pension fund, was reduced by 400 grand. But all I have, and this probably until the contract settled, this is the best I can do for a budget.
Any questions?
I bet with Kathy earlier, she answered my questions.
Cody, any questions? Cody?
Somehow or another, he
Lost him.
fell off.
Maybe he's trying on the Teams.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I didn't touch the phone. Just went over the budget. I don't know what you heard, but Dick was asking if you had any questions. Thank you.
Neither do I, so let's move on to new business. There's no new business, so let's go to officers' comments.
I think Kelly would like to say something.
Comment, go for it.
Yes, so this past Sunday, my family and I participated in our first walk for Williams syndrome for my son Riley. Sorry.
I'll speak for it. So there was a walk on Sunday and it was beautiful. There was probably 3,000 people there.
3,000.
And Riley was the youngest baby there. He's adorable. And they collected over $9,000 in donations. A lot of it from our commission and from the police department. And I think they were the highest team. It was Team Riley. I think they collected 50,000 in all, and 10,000 of it was for Riley.
Yes, thank you.
It is.
Yeah.
Just remember something. No crying in baseball. You all right?
Yeah, it's good.
We're proud of you. We're proud of Riley.
Yep.
Overtime report.
Excuse me. So in August, there was a total of 219 hours of overtime. 11 of those hours were operational. Some of those of 11 include ERT overtime, 50 hours of patrol. Good majority of that was replacing Officer Gemma Lewis off the schedule. 10 hours of comp OT, 30 hours of personal OT, 76 hours of sick OT, 6 hours of training OT, 36 hours of vacation. I would like to point out, since the transition of the traffic safety unit going to a 12-hour day shift rotation, 7 days a week on August 11th of this year, the following shifts were covered by members of the traffic safety unit that would have otherwise been covered by overtime previous to August 11th. 80 hours of to cover sick, personal, and hours for Officer Lewis. The traffic unit provided 80 hours of coverage. That would equal approximately, if you use $100, $8,000. Cover scheduled time off going into December, where otherwise the traffic unit would not be scheduled in patrol. There were 108 hours of time that the traffic unit is going to be supplementing patrol. Approximately $10,800 would have been spent in overtime costs previously. Total hours since the traffic safety unit changed their schedule to a 12-hour shift is 188 hours. So a total of 188 hours since August 15th that the traffic unit supplemented patrol. So approximately $18,800 in overtime savings there. If you use those numbers projected over the next 10 months, the trend would be approximately $188,000 of overtime savings based on the traffic safety units transition to a 12-hour shift.
Didn't go back. What was that final number?
Estimated projected over the next 10 months, approximately 188,000. If we use the numbers I just provided.
Okay. Questions? Questions now? No. Cody, question? Month-end report.
For the month of August, we are less than 1% over budget for payroll expenses, but with the reimbursement of the special detail, we're about 2% under budget. Our benefits expenses are 7% under budget. It's not unusual due to the fact that a lot of our premiums are due at the end of the year. Vehicle expenses are under by 6% due to the prices of gas. Our other expenses are over by 33% due to the grant check that was reimbursed and accreditation fees and the staffing study. Bottom line is we're less than 1% over budget for the month of August, and we'll be in good shape by year end.
Usually on August, so over the last couple of years, is there the difference of 1% over or below? Is that usual?
I would, yeah, I would say it's typical. I don't have the exact number for 2024, but I can look that up for you. I'm not surprised by
Okay,
the percentage.
any concerns,
No concern.
questions?
So,
Cody, any questions? PPU report.
So the split between East Goshen and Westtown, for the month was, Westtown 45.43% and East Goshen 54.57%. We've been monitoring the PPU situation since we switched to 3 sectors. So really, not really noticing any difference in how the PPUs were trending based on the new sector assignments. So something we were interested in. We'll keep following that.
Questions? Move on, public comment. Don't hear any public comment. So we're gonna do I hear a motion to adjourn, but before we.
so moved.
Okay, now we're gonna do.
We're gonna do a quick pension meeting.
Right,
Oh, this was the minutes we had?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for the public consideration, we're just doing a quick pension meeting to approve the minimum municipal obligation for 2026. Even though it was already approved at our August meeting, we need to have a pension meeting, especially for the auditor, to show that we've accepted the MMO at an official pension meeting.
just for the sake of the argument, so in case people are interested, for the whatever number of time, explain what the MMO is.
Okay. So under Act 205, the chief administrative officer of the pension plan is required to present the financial obligation to the municipality's governing board. So our pension consultant does a report each year for the auditor general and basically fills in all the numbers and comes up with an MMO that we're required to pay to keep the plan sound. The officers also contribute 5% of their W-2 into the plan, and then the expenses. And what they come up with are 2 different lines. One is an MMO that we're required to pay of $1,021,990. But based upon the market value of assets, which would be more, they're asking for $1,024,235. Last month at the meeting, the commissioners approved the higher number, the market value of assets of $1,024,235. This money will go into the pension plan from our general fund account by December 15th of this year. And this number last year was 1.4 million, which, as you remember, I mentioned the budget's going down quite a bit because our MMO went down by 400,000. So this is just a requirement that the township is definitely responsible for to keep the plan sound.
Do we need to vote on it?
You just need to accept the fact, and you voted on the fact that you wanted to go to the market value of assets.
Yeah.
So that was voted on by Mr. Stone and Mr. Bright at the last meeting.
So it's just a matter of acknowledging it.
Acknowledging that and approving the minutes from last September when we did the same thing.
Move it, we acknowledge and approve the minutes.
Cody,
September 24.
Cody, you want to second it?
Yes.
All in favor? That meeting is now closed. And so with that, this meeting is closed and appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care, Cody. Take care, Dad.